Trump Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany has voted by mail 11 times in 10 years. I love this quote. The president is, after all, the president, which means he's here in Washington. He's unable to cast his vote down in Florida, his state of residence. Yes, he's also been unable to travel to Florida dozens of times to play golf. /S. In fact, the Tampa native has voted by mail in every Florida election she has participated in since 2010, according to a Tampa Bay Times review of her voting history. Most recently, she voted by mail in the state's March 2020 presidential primary, just as Trump did after he made Florida his new permanent home. Hypocrisy is the brand. Some Reddit user put it best, Kayleigh is just Kellyanne Conway redrat. Edit, wish I could give props to the Reddit user that I first saw mention it. Edit, looks like someone found him/her/r/Ms. Mamana. The time adds up to about when I saw it. Of course she has, but it's okay for Republicans. They know mail-in voting is safe and millions of Americans do it every election. She and her boss agree only Republicans can vote by mail. At this point I just expect them to always do the opposite of what they say. I know I am late to this realization, like 3 years late. So do we just flood her Twitter accusing her of voter fraud for the past 10 years, right? That's how this game is played. Every accusation is a confession with these people. Her excuse is that absentee voting is appropriate when you're either absent from the jurisdiction or have a reason you cannot vote in person. Like, maybe, hear me out, a pandemic. Shocker. Do as we say, not as we do. So ask it, and ask it bluntly. Kayleigh, you and the president voted by mail, why do you feel voter fraud is okay when you two do it? Especially given the president's questionably legal new residence in Florida. She heavily criticized Trump years ago, and then someone told her she could make it big being a pretty blonde conservative wingnut, and here we are. This actually happened. I hate her preformed questions she answers when no reporters ask them, BC there for gaslighting. Day 1 I promise to never lie, then a week in is spreading murder cold case conspiracies all because the family wants to know. Shameless. I think mail-in voting is horrible, Trump said in Tuesday's coronavirus press conference. You voted by mail in Florida's election last month, didn't you? The reporter asked. Sure, the president replied. I can vote by mail. How do you reconcile with that? Because I'm allowed to, Trump said. Fake-ass hypocrite. They know how easy it is, which is why they don't want us to be able to do it. And she's a fraud, so maybe there's actually something to all of this. I really like her, she's the perfect villain. She unapologetic, come up with crazy spins, crass, blinded to anything other than her team agenda, and possess that iconic feminine look associated with Trump. She's the perfect Trump secretary. If I were her, I would say that someone else voted by mail, using her identity. Then she can continue lying about the safety of mail voting. She has the most calibrated mean girl face I have come across. If a reporter asks her about this, her eyebrows will arch with a delicate blend of smug superiority and contemptuous disdain, and she will condescendingly and patronizingly explain that, as a student, she fought for her right to vote and even once broke a nail putting a stamp on her ballot. They don't care about this hypocrisy because a core group of their supporters knows that the fraudulent voting by mail is done by Democrat immigrants in California. Republican voters don't care about inequality or double standards if they benefit from it. Freedom. A watered-down version of freedom spouted by pseudo-patriots in America who claim to love freedom, justice, and constitutional rights for all but are in fact only in favor for a select few having them. Freedom supporters hide their agenda by wrapping it up in a false sense of patriotism to cover up their lack of willingness to share it with everyone in the country. Usually cutting off others' right to freedom when it prevents a privileged group from having their way with a particular political/social/religious issue they want to have dictated in their personal favor. They don't care about facts. Hypocrisy doesn't matter. They will make an argument in bad faith to use against you, and then either ignore you or change their minds on a whim. Again, fascists do not care if you fact-check them. That is part of their game, to make you play whack-a-mole when in reality they genuinely have no solid position. All Republican politicians and voters know deep down inside that the more people that vote, the more Democrats become the majority. Well, yeah. It's only voting fraud if a Democrat votes. /s. Absentee voting has the word absent in it for a reason. It means you're absent from the jurisdiction or unable to vote in person. President Trump is against the Democrat plan to politicize the coronavirus and expand mass mail-in voting without a reason, which has a high propensity for voter fraud. This is a simple distinction that the media fails to grasp. Like a pandemic making gatherings dangerous. One press secretary is just as stupid as the other. And one of them was too chicken to even do one press conference. I believe it's the DUI criminal one. She sure had no problem taking taxpayer money though. They're almost at the point where they blatantly say the only valid votes are the ones for them. Propaganda Barbie is a hypocrite. Shocking. As a mom in her late 40s, amazed at how effed up our country is right now, reading posts like this gives me life. This is what democracy used to look like. People with questions getting honest, thoughtful answers. Maybe you're all old like me, but I'm betting not, and I just want you to know that you are amazing. My favorite part, it just shows her willingness to lie no matter the facts. In a statement emailed after the story published, McEnany said, "Absentee voting has the word absent in it for a reason. It means you're absent from the jurisdiction or unable to vote in person. President Trump is against the Democrat plan to politicize the coronavirus and expand mass mail-in voting without a reason, which has a high propensity for voter fraud. This is a simple distinction that the media fails to grasp." However, Florida does not have absentee voting. Anyone can vote by mail here without a reason. Of course she has, but regardless, she'll do what she can to please Daddy Trump. So, voting by mail really is a right way to vote. It damn well better be. That's how I'm signed up to vote, already. Here in Florida. Wonder how bullshit Barbie will spin this one. They're afraid of more people voting - Republicans being voted out of office. It's as simple as that. No way, someone in the Trump admin that admonishes people for doing what they themselves are doing? Say it ain't so. Someone in the Trump administration is a hypocrite? No. No. I refuse to believe it. /s. I thought that was a requirement. The grift and con on the mega boobs is never ending. I can't count how many morons have been on here in the past week screaming about voter fraud with mail-in voting. They didn't give a shit about mail-in voting a month ago. Trump supporters, you guys are being played like a fucking fiddle, and Donnie is laughing at you every night. After all, he loves his poorly educated. I think this voter fraud cacophony is serving two purposes. It's drowning out the fact we are about to reach 100,000 deaths. It also is a lot of setup for a loss and lots of content. Does he want a second term? Obviously, but there are a lot of law agencies that are waiting for him to get out of office and out from under executive privilege so they can prosecute him. If he has 4 more years, he gets to fuck with the courts until everything is in his favor. Rules for thee and not for me. So 11 frauds then? Lock her up. I'm guessing that each time she did it was fraudulent and we should lock her up.